Okay, let's dive right into Acts chapter 23.
Yeah, this is quite a sequence of events for Paul.
We're jumping into, well, a really intense day and night. We want to unpack the twists, the turns, all of it.
Absolutely. It's packed with conflict, some smart strategy from Paul, a bit of divine help, and some serious human plotting, too. Really shows the volatile situation.
Okay, so the scene opens. Paul's right there before the Sanhedrin,
Yep.
and he lists them straight on and says, basically, my brothers, I have lived my life with a clear conscience before God up to this very day.
Which is quite an opening line, isn't it? Talk about setting a tone.
Definitely feels like he's drawing a line in the sand,
Yeah.
asserting his integrity from the start.
And the high priest, Ananias, his reaction is just instant and physical.
He doesn't even debate.
No, he just orders the guy standing near Paul to smack him right on the mouth.
Wow. Okay. That tells you a lot about the tension right there, the immediate, visceral offense.
Exactly. And Paul's comeback is, well, it's incredibly sharp, explosive almost.
What does he say?
He fires back, calls Ananias a whitewashed wall.
Oof.
Yeah. And points out the hypocrisy, right? You're sitting there judging me by the law, but you're breaking it by ordering me struck without a fair hearing. It's a really pointed accusation.
And the people around, how do they react to that?
They're shocked. You know, like, you dare insult God's high priest.
Right. And then Paul, maybe surprisingly, he kind of pulls back a little.
He does. He says, look, I didn't realize it was the high priest. And he even quotes scripture.
Do not speak evil about the ruler of your people.
Exactly. So it's this intense back and forth, then a quick appeal to the law he was just accused of disrespecting.
But what he does next, that seems really strategic.
Oh, absolutely brilliant. He looks at the council, the Sanhedrin, and he knows they're not unified. Not at all.
Because it's split.
Deeply fractured. Between the Sadducees and the Pharisees, he sees that fault line.
And he just drives a wedge right in. He shouts out, my brothers, I am a Pharisee, the son of a Pharisee, and I'm on trial because of the hope of the resurrection of the dead.
Boom. He doesn't just claim an identity, he ties his whole trial to the one massive issue that completely divides them.
The resurrection.
Yeah.
Because the Sadducees didn't believe in it at all, right?
Right.
No resurrection, no angels, no spirits.
Flat out denied it all. But the Pharisees, they affirmed all of it. This wasn't some minor theological point. It was, fundamental.
So Paul basically throws a theological grenade into the room.
You could say that, yeah. And the result is immediate chaos. Just what he probably intended, or at least foresaw. A huge dispute just erupts.
Between the two groups.
Exactly. It becomes a massive uproar. And get this, some of the Pharisees, the teachers of the law, they actually jump in and start arguing for Paul.
Seriously.
Yeah. They say, hey, we don't find anything wrong with this guy. Maybe a spirit or an angel really did speak to him. They see his claim aligning with their beliefs, potentially.
It just completely descends into chaos then.
So much so that the Roman commander, who's been watching all this unfold,
Right. The Romans are overseeing this.
he gets genuinely worried that Paul's going to be literally torn to pieces between these arguing factions.
So he has to step in.
Decisively. Orders his troops right down into the middle of it, grab Paul by force, and haul him out of there, back to the safety of the barracks.
So this whole scene, this courtroom that turns into a brawl,
Yeah.
it really shows the cracks in the Jewish leadership Paul was up against.
And how his clever move, identifying with the Pharisees on that core belief, actually used their own division to create a crisis that weirdly led to the Romans rescuing him.
Yeah, it wasn't just one solid wall of opposition. It was complex, fractured. He had to navigate that.
Exactly. So the drama of the day kind of ends there, but then the focus shifts to the following night.
And this is a total change of pace.
Yeah.
Quiet, Paul's probably processing everything.
And then something really significant happens. The Lord stands near him,
Direct divine encouragement.
right when he probably needed it most. And the message is so clear, so forward-looking. Take courage. Just as you testified about me in Jerusalem, you have to testify in Rome too.
Wow. So after facing death, he gets this confirmation, mission's not over, and the next stop is Rome. Gives everything a purpose, connects the present danger to a future plan.
It's a powerful moment of reassurance. But, just as he gets that divine promise the very next morning, a new threat emerges. Very human this time.
And this one sounds really serious. A conspiracy.
More than 40 Jewish men, they get together and form a plot, binding themselves with a solemn oath.
What kind of oath?
An extreme one. They swear not to eat or drink anything until they've killed Paul.
Wait, a hunger strike until he's dead. More than 40 people?
Yeah. Think about that level of commitment, that determination. It's not just angry words, it's a formal religious vow. Shows the sheer desperation almost of the opposition.
And they have a specific plan to carry this out.
They do. They go to the chief priests and elders, the ones likely most against Paul and the Sanhedrin, and they lay out their scheme.
Okay, what's the plan?
They suggest the Sanhedrin petition the Roman commander to bring Paul back down the next day. Pretend they need to question him more carefully.
But that's just a pretext.
Exactly. The real plan is for these 40-plus guys to lie in wait, ambush Paul on the way, and kill him before he even reaches the Sanhedrin.
That's brutal. And cunning, using the official channels as cover for an assassination.
It really underscores the danger Paul was in. This wasn't just legal challenges anymore.
So you've got this divine promise of Rome on one hand and this deadly sworn plot on the other. How does he get out of this one?
This is where family steps in, unexpectedly. It's the son of Paul's sister, his nephew.
Paul's nephew. How does he get involved?
The text just says he heard about the ambush plan. We don't know how, but he finds out.
And he takes action.
Crucially, yes, he goes straight to the barracks where Paul is being held under guard and tells his uncle everything. This personal connection, this family tie, becomes the key.
And Paul doesn't hesitate.
No, acts immediately. He calls over one of the centurions guarding him and says, essentially, take this young man to the commander. He has something important to report.
Does the centurion do it?
Yep. Takes the nephew straight to the commander, explaining that the prisoner, Paul, requested it.
And the commander listens.
Takes it very seriously, pulls the young man aside privately, wants to hear the story directly from him, away from others, so the nephew lays it all out. The plan for the Sanhedrin to request Paul's return, the ambush waiting, the 40-plus men, the extreme oath they took. He warns the commander, don't grant their request.
How does the commander react to this news?
First, he's protective of the informant. He dismisses the nephew but gives him a strict warning. Don't tell anyone you told me about this. Protecting his source.
Smart. And then what? He has this critical intelligence now.
He acts with, overwhelming force and speed. Calls two of his centurions right away.
And gives orders.
Orders for a massive military escort to be assembled that night. We're talking 200 soldiers, 70 horsemen, and 200 spearmen.
Wait, 200? 70. Right. 200, that's 470 Roman military personnel to escort one prisoner. Wow. That tells you everything about how seriously the Romans took this plot, especially against a Roman citizen. This isn't just a couple of guards. It's practically a small army detachment.
Absolutely. And the orders are clear. Get mounts ready for Paul, too, so he can be transported safely all the way to Caesarea to Governor Felix.
So bypassing the Sanhedrin entirely now. Taking him out of Jerusalem.
Completely. And the commander also writes a letter to Governor Felix to explain the situation.
What does the letter say, basically?
It summarizes things from his perspective, says he rescued Paul from Jews who were about to kill him, importantly noting he found out Paul was a Roman citizen.
That detail's key for the Roman governor.
Definitely. He says he brought Paul before their council, the Sanhedrin, but found no charge related to their religious law that warranted death or imprisonment.
Okay.
Then he explains he was informed of a plot against Paul's life, so he's sending Paul to Felix immediately. And he's ordered Paul's accusers to present their case directly to Felix in Caesarea.
So it effectively transfers the whole case out of the volatile Jerusalem religious court and into the formal Roman provincial legal system.
Precisely. It's a decisive move.
So this huge escort gets Paul out under cover of darkness.
They travel through the night, taking him as far as Antipatris.
And then?
By the next day, they're past the immediate danger zone around Jerusalem. So the main group, the 400 foot soldiers, they actually head back to the barracks in Jerusalem.
Okay, so just the cavalry continues?
Right. The 70 horsemen continue the rest of the journey with Paul to Caesarea, a smaller, faster group now.
And then when they arrive in Caesarea?
They deliver the commander's letter, and they hand Paul over to Governor Felix.
What's Felix's initial reaction?
He reads the letter, asks Paul a basic question, where are you from? Paul says, Cilicia.
And then Felix makes a decision.
Yeah, a preliminary one. He says, okay, I'll hear your case properly when your accusers get here.
So Paul's not free, but he's out of immediate danger from the plotters.
Exactly. He's ordered to be kept under guard, but in Herod's palace in Caesarea, essentially awaiting trial under Roman authority.
Wow, what a chapter. We've gone from this powder keg in the Sanhedrin, Paul's strategic move, the divine promise,
through to this incredibly serious assassination plot involving that oath.
Foiled by his nephew. Then this massive military operation to relocate him.
Ending with Paul now under Roman guard in Caesarea, waiting for Governor Felix to hear the case. It's a huge shift in his circumstances and location.
Yeah, it really sets the stage for the next phase of his journey, now deeply entangled with the Roman legal system.
It really highlights all the different forces at play, the intense religious conflict, the calculations of Roman power, Paul's own sense of divine purpose, and even these unexpected personal interventions, like the nephew.
It absolutely makes you think, doesn't it? About how safety can suddenly appear from an unexpected source, like a family member overhearing a plot.
Or how different power works the religious authorities versus the Roman military and legal system. Their motivations, their methods seem worlds apart here.
And how one small action, that nephew deciding to speak up, completely changed the course of events and derailed this major sworn conspiracy. Something to consider, the impact of individual choices amidst these grand historical narratives.